live for the Power Chat series with special guest Rashad Eugene for the SoFlo Battle of Champions. How are you doing tonight, Rashad?
Pretty good. Thank you for having me on the show again.
Of course, this is not your first, not your second. It might be your third. Do you know how many times you've been on the Power Chat series and/or Point Fighter Live?
Probably okay for the Power Chat series. Probably the second time, probably
Mhm.
second or third. But overall, with Point Fighter Live, I would say about 4 or 5 times.
Okay, so clearly you are a not a newcomer to Point Fighter Live, so you know how these interviews go. But I'm really excited for everybody watching to get more information about Rashad because you're such a character. You're a great person to talk to, and an amazing martial artist. So why don't you tell everybody how you did at the SoFlo Battle of Champions?
Well, for the SoFlo, there was pretty interesting judges, pretty different competition aside from other Florida tournaments. But overall, it ran really good. The venue was actually pretty nice. I've never been to that venue in for SoFlo Battle of Champions, and for the competition, it was pretty good as far as from the 11 and under to black belt adults. It was pretty good. For my competition, I took first place in creative, well, extreme weapons, extreme forms, and in point fighting. That was actually one division I actually focused on for this tournament, and I did pretty good. Made it to the finals with Ronald Zavala, and we were neck and neck for to the until the time ran out. And fortunately, I won with 2 points, 7-5. So that's how the match went, and it was a really good fight.
So what makes this tournament different than the other Florida tournaments that you've been to? And you're a Florida native, so you would be super knowledgeable about this.
Well, Florida for sport karate has a bunch of talent for competitors as far as for NASCA, USA Sport Karate, or Blitz with Jeremy Roque, and others. A new season that's coming out, the Four Seasons, which is more of a South Florida circuit. So it's pretty much under NASCA rules. And pretty much with this event is just different rules, but it's the same competition. I treat it like every other competition. It's just that you got to know the rules, which is kind of towards NASCAR rules, if you can say. But pretty much, I just treat it like the same, like every other event that I've been to.
What were some of the rules that were different from this tournament as now or as other tournaments?
Different rules is like I said, it's about it's pretty. Sorry, it's pretty much NASCAR rules. Whereas, like if you drop, you're disqualified. Same rules for traditional. You just got to keep it very traditional. You can't let go of the ball. You cannot do any twirls, any wrist rolls, or anything like that. And point fighting, the same thing. The only difference is, I believe, I could not remember, but kicks to the body were 1 point. And I was fine with it. If it was 2 points, it was 2 points. If it was 1 point, it was 1 point. I'm fine with it. All I know is that I was just scoring as many techniques as I can with the fighters that I was fighting against.
Do you have a preference in terms of 1 point to the body or 2 point to the body for kicks? A personal preference?
I will say this. You know what? No, because I be dodging that question too much. I would say 1 point, 1 point to the body, because it is a little bit easier to kick to the body than to the head. And yes, we turn into a blitzer's game, hands technique more than kicks. But even so, with kickers, they still kick to the body. But I would still say like 1 point to the body. Me personally, whichever circuit that allows 2 points to the body, which mainly is NASCAR, I'm okay with it. Whichever circuit that allows 1 point to the body, which is every other inner circuit state tournament, if that makes sense.
Mhm.
I'm okay with it. But me personally, 1 point to the body.
Okay, that sounds like a definitive stance. It seems like you were dodging the question maybe before if you've gotten it, but at least on this show, here you have it. Rashad Eugene is a 1 point to the body competitor.
Yes.
And yeah, so you said that you trained specifically fighting for this tournament, focusing on your training towards that. What did that look like for you?
It's pretty much not, I can't say it's not that different, because I train fighting. I mean, well, for the past 2 weeks, I haven't been training, but I'm getting back into fighting. But besides that, just been training fighting at the dojo. everybody knows me as for forms and weapons, especially weapons. And for fighting, I just do it to have fun. But there's sometimes where I get competitive. But this time, I was actually being more serious about the fighting division. On top of that, with the adults, there's not that many adult competitors as far as for CMX. I know there's a couple, there's a few out there for South Florida and in Central Florida, especially Central Florida. But for this tournament, there was not that many. So I was mainly focused on the fighting grand champion.
Right. Okay. So you said that you do fighting for fun at tournaments at least. Is that one of the ways that sort of keeps you excited, keeps you interested in martial arts?
Yes, definitely. Because I just don't want to be, I'm not the type to do one thing as far as just forms or weapons. I like to do it all. That's how I was raised
Mhm.
from a white belt and to now. That's how I started. That's how I'm going to finish it until I'm completely done with karate, which that will not happen. So I just like being an all around competitor, all around martial artist for that.
You said you beat Ronald by 2 points, 5-7. So it must have been a close match. What was the deciding factor between you and him?
The deciding factor was about in about 10 seconds. I kept on going with a step in back fist while he was side kicking. Is it just all about timing? Because me and Ronald, we trained before and we still train here and there. We just have the same speed. Is
Mhm.
all about timing at this point. So there are times where he would actually blitz me and I get caught off guard. There are times where I just step in on the side kick. So we move the same way. We are actually fat. We actually I can't say it right. We are actually completely fast at the same time. We just have the same time, and we just have to pick our shots when and when not to go, pretty much. So it was actually like a chess match for that match.
I'm interested to hear your thoughts on competitors training oftentimes with the people that they're going to fight at tournaments. What are your thoughts on sort of showing your hand in that on the mat in practice, and then not really? Then it comes down to the nitty gritty things in the competition, or some people are a little bit more reserved. They don't train with anybody and everybody they compete with. What are your thoughts on that?
I'll say this from their perspective, from I speak on other people's perspective, I get that because they want to win to the best of their ability as far as with the people that they train against and they're going against in tournaments. Me personally, I don't care. Like I fight the same way. I'll fight the same way as I fight in a dojo or in the tournament. Let me say that again. I fight the way in a dojo, then I'm gonna fight the same way in tournaments. There's some days where I don't feel like training, but I have to push myself, and there's other times where I actually just got to push and I actually feel great. So the way that I fight in the dojos is going to be the same way that I fight in tournaments as far as for the people that I'm going against in tournaments that I train with.
Okay. All right. So, with AKA coming up and the new NASCA season coming up, and many people on this live probably associate Rashad Eugene with weapons. Do you have anything up your sleeve? You don't have to maybe reveal it, but for this upcoming season.
Just me staying consistent. I know over the years I'm known to throw crazy amount of weapons. Started with triple bow, broom. Only one time, by the way. I'm not doing that again. Just letting everybody know that. And different sorts of traditional weapons like a Japanese spear, Japanese spear sword, and a weapon that's called a kuo, basically a garden hoe. So, but this time for this year, like I did for 2020, for 2021 going into 2022, I'm staying very consistent with four weapons: double bow, commas, traditional bow, and possibly Japanese sword. Still indecisive for the fourth weapon for traditional bladed weapons.
Is there a reason that you have sort of decided to stick with those four?
It started with back in 2014 when I just joined the adult division. Whereas when I saw Reed Presley brought out the double bow, which very good competitor, very innovative at his time, and still innovative at this time right now. Pretty much, I said to myself that I can do better. So I started training double bow, and up to this point, that I've been up my game right now with commas. I've been wanting to work on commas for a while since I was about 14 years old, pretty much. And now that I'm at my game right now to just, sorry, to actually show what I've been working on. That's
Mhm.
pretty much it for commas. Single traditional bow, I'll be honest with you, I told myself many times that I was not going to use that weapon for traditional weapons. Why? Because everybody pretty much does the same thing.
Very
That's my
true.
that was my opinion. So I always go around the situation, go around the spectrum. Whereas I used Cali sticks, I used tonfas, just going around from using trad bow until I just said, you know what, forget it. Let me try it at a local tournament. I won it at the local tournament, so I started like a white belt. Started at a local tournament, then went to a local national tournament, and then it gets bigger and bigger and bigger. Now I'm doing traditional bow at a NASCAR tournament. So I'm just want to keep the consistency going. And as far as with the Japanese spear, let's just say that weapon. It started with my weapon sponsor, 10th degree weaponry, Mr. Mike Goodwin. He sent me this weapon and he said, I would like for you to try this weapon. I said, sure, I'm up for it. And I started training it. He told me the ropes of how to use it, how not to use it. And I just went on from there. So, and I really like the weapon. So it goes on from there with all four weapons that I'm going to be using for 2022.
People are impressed when someone can do two weapons, and you just listed off maybe 10 different ones that you've done in the past or that you will do in the future and stick with. Where do you get the inspiration to try out these different weapons that some people may have never even heard of before?
Pretty much just picking and choosing how I train with other weapons. Start off with the four basic sport karate weapons, which is single bow, nunchucks, sword, and kamas. So with double bow, let's just say with double bow, I get strikes and twirls from nunchucks and sword strikes. And pretty much it's the same thing with the hoko yari, which is the Japanese spear. I treat it like a bow per se, but not too much. And then next thing you know, I'm thrusting and striking and slashing in a way. So it's just getting off inspirations off of different weapons and treating it differently, but the same as well.
Okay. All right. And so you were very successful at this tournament, but what were your main takeaways going into the future after competing and winning at the Soflo battle?
My main takeaways was can you elaborate a little bit more on that one?
So you were very successful, and a lot of times competitors think, what's next? Or how can I improve? But if you're winning, right, do you not, you don't change what you're doing? It's working, or what are your thoughts going into the next season?
Okay, gotcha. So pretty much I still improve to this day as far as like I just look for little mistakes as far as my performance and or in fighting and I just work on the little mistakes because everybody makes mistakes. Nobody's perfect. So just the little things, just the stance transition, chambering, striking in a different way is just that I try to improve it. So I go back to the drawing board and work on the strikes, work on the basics, work on my stance transitions that I actually came up with and just going from there and going into 2022 it's just a matter of staying consistent with this not just doing it one time and okay stopping and just going to the next thing. No, I have to stay very consistent with it so that way I can very make little mistakes, even little mistakes in my performance and or in fighting as well.
So, for anybody watching that doesn't know, Rashad is actually at the karate school right now. It's currently 8:44 our time. That's pretty late. My last question for you, Rashad, is what's your daily routine look like as a competitor, also as an instructor?
So as a competitor, pretty much I train at least 2 times a week, at least 2 times. I'll be lucky if I get three. And pretty much just training about 2 hours before I start work. So I start working at the karate school at 12 to 7. That's on a regular day, school day. And as far as teaching, I teach from on Tuesdays, Thursdays, and Fridays. Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, and Friday. As far as I teach a little 7-year olds and under from 5 to 7 on Tuesday, Thursday, and Friday, and I teach a weapons class on Wednesday and Friday from 4 to 5 and from 7:15 to 8:30 on a Friday, and pretty much just working my way around it. So, and there are days where I have to open up the karate school for all day camp, so I have to show up at I have to open up the karate school at 7 a.m. I pretty much wake up at 4 to get to the karate school at 5 or 5:30, and I start training there before I officially open up the karate school. So it's
Wow.
just some days where, yeah, it's just some days where I have to open up and I'm like, okay, I'm training in the morning.
Wow,
So yeah,
that's tiring, exhausting, but you do it every day. I know that I said that was my last question, but really my question that I want to wrap up with is where do you see all of these hours, all of this sweat and work going long term in the future with your journey in martial arts?
as far as winning more championships in NASCA, more overalls in NASCA, winning the WACO titles for WACO overseas, and just keep on winning, just keep on progressing. That's how I see myself in the future for the long run.
Do you foresee yourself one day having your own school, your own physical location as a head instructor?
People are not gonna like me for this answer.
Well, then I'm
No,
glad I saved it for
actually.
the last question. But please tell everyone.
No. Believe it or not, no. I love teaching. Don't get me wrong. I'm still going to continue to teach, but as far as opening my own school, being a head instructor, I don't think that's going to happen. That's not my goal in the future. It may happen out of not unfortunate, out of, how can I say this? Out of nowhere, it may happen, but that is actually not my goal. My goal is to actually paint cars, going to car detailing and DK, believe it or not.
Well, I mean, when you say it, I'm not surprised, just given your talented background in painting shoes and painting and being an artist as well. But I am also surprised because people so committed to martial arts tend to want to one day open their own school.
Right.
But no, I'm that's interesting, and I'm glad it's some new information that we got from this interview because I had no idea that was your long term goals when you grow up, as one would say.
Right. No, it's just pretty much just I thought about it, and over the years with some instructors that I've looked at everything, it's pretty much it just overseas, like not overseas, it's like had me thinking like what do I really want to do with my life? And yes, I do love martial arts. Yes, I love to compete. Yes, I love to teach. But as far as with my background, my talented background, like you said, painting shoes, that's what I'm most passionate about, and I want to put that in onto the cars, pretty much. So yeah.
Very cool. Well, thank you so much, Rashad, for coming on. Congratulations for your win at the SoFlo battle. And I hope to bring you on for the fourth time soon after more success.
Awesome. Thank you for having me.
Of course. And thank you everyone for watching and tuning into the Power Chat series. Hope everyone has a great night. Okay, and we